Got the meeting recorded here. So, Jocelyn says a bit overwhelmed. That's okay. We can help you out with that. Johnny says awesome. Good. I'd like to hear that. John and Ashley say great. Very good. Daniel and I believe it's Cecilia. A lot of reading material. Yes, there is. Hopefully, you're both with us tonight. So, Jocelyn, you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. Okay. Completely natural to feel that way. What we need to do is we need to just take this a step at a time, right? So, this is actually why we've decided to do these extra webinars for you guys. You're the first class that's gotten this little benefit. The reason being is we understand that students get overwhelmed and students get confused, and students kind of, it's sometimes hard to ask for help. And so we want to make sure that you guys are getting the help you need to succeed, right? This is what it's all about, because the better you guys do, the better we feel. So this is kind of a selfish pursuit for me. I want to see each and every one of you as great traders. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. But I believe that if you're willing to put in the work, we can get you there. So, I'm here every step of the way. If you have office issues, Eric can help you out. You've got Sam's contact as well if there's issues that pop up. So, Jocelyn, let me ask you, any particular part that's overwhelming? Have you actually? I guess I want to know from each of you guys as well. So, who's been set up for Master Trader? What have you guys done since I saw you last Saturday? Hopefully you relaxed on Sunday, and then Monday you were ready to go to work. But I need to know where you guys are at so that I can help you out best. Okay. So if you just want to type in where you're at, I'm gonna make a few notes here, and we'll see if we can't get you moving forward. Okay. Okay. So Jocelyn says, I'm reading the material and watching Master Trader videos. Okay. That's exactly how I wanted you to start. And remember that, Jocelyn, it may seem a bit overwhelming right now, but the reality is by the time you actually start trading, you will have seen that Master Trader material several times. Okay, because you're gonna do the Master Trader, on demand, and then you're gonna do it in a live setting, and then you can always go back and look at it again if you don't understand any of it. And for anybody that got a mentorship, what we do with in the mentorship is I basically solidify all the information that you've been taken in. So and then we actually put it into practice in our mentorship. So like I said, don't feel too overwhelmed. Just take it one step at a time. Everybody knows that old saying, how to eat an elephant. It's one piece at a time, right? So like I said, watch the video, make some notes. If you're having problems, you guys have my email. If you don't, I'm going to put it up again at the end of class here. It's making sense, so that's good. Yeah, like I said, just take your time. Believe it or not, you've got a long period of time to get through this stuff. And like I said, I love questions. So if you guys send me a question, I'm usually pretty good about answering it back. So like I said, just fire off the questions, and let's make sure that you really get a hold of this. Okay. So John and Ashley set up for Master Trading. Watch a bit tonight. Okay, good. Watching Johnny Salvetti says watching Master Trader videos. Okay, good. So I just want to make sure that when you guys are watching these videos, just kind of take some notes. Maybe jot down some questions that you have. Because you're going to have questions. Everybody does, and it's completely natural, and that's fine. If you write the questions down. And you either send them to me in a bunch or one at a time is fine. Usually bunches are better if you can. There's going to be stuff that's confusing, and I'm here to help you. I'll explain it. I think I'm getting pretty decent at this teaching thing. I like to kind of simplify things. I like to keep everything nice and easy and simple. The reality is the financial marketplace. Everybody wants to make it really complicated. But I'm here to tell you, I've been doing this for over 10 years now. It's not as complicated as everybody thinks, and we're going to make sure that you guys have a good understanding of it, okay? So Daniel says, just got Master Trader on demand today, okay. Before that, you've been reading the books. Okay, good. All right, so do you guys all see this file share over here on the left? Does everybody see that? Yes, Jocelyn, okay. Yes, yes. Okay, got lots of yeses. I like that. Okay, so this is your gold key. Okay, over here. So now I think you guys were maybe already on a webinar with Sam. Maybe if you didn't get this gold key information, what I want you to do is I want you to click on one of these files to the left here, and it'll highlight in dark blue. And then if you click Control A, it will highlight all of them. Okay. And I want you to highlight all of them so they're all in dark blue, and then I want you to click download file. Okay, so these are all your files that you would get on the gold key. If you haven't already done this, if you have, that's fine. If you haven't, I just want to make sure that you get all these things. Now, I don't want you to get too overwhelmed by what's on this gold key. There's a lot of stuff on there. Okay, I want you to just concentrate on Master Trader, but I also want you to have this stuff on your computer. So, have you guys already done that? Just type in yes if you've already downloaded the information. If you haven't, then let's make sure you get it. Okay, so yes for Daniel, yes for Uzma. Okay. Jocelyn, John, and Ashley. Johnny. Downloading now. Perfect. Okay, good. Awesome. Downloading now for Jocelyn. Good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so like I said, there is literally a ton of stuff on that gold key. Again, you're not going to need that right now. I just want you to have it for the future. Now, feel free to look through it, but what I want you to do is mainly concentrate on your Master Trader because that'll set your foundation for all of the other stuff that we have in there. Because some of this stuff, the credit spread system, that's a little bit more advanced. There's a fair bit of stuff in here that's a little more advanced. So I want you just to get the basics, the foundation, and then we can go from there. Okay. All right. So what I want to talk to you guys about tonight, before we get into this, I want to put out this disclaimer. Okay. I am not licensed to give you financial advice anymore, so I will not be giving you any financial advice tonight or anytime. But what I will be doing with you tonight is sharing my experiences as a trader with all of the things that I've run into getting started as a Canadian trader. Okay. Like I said, it may be the same for you. It may be a little different for you. I'm just going to kind of go through what I had to go through to get up and running as a trader. There's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of things we got to work through as Canadians. I'm going to kind of go through that stuff. I'm going to talk about different account types. Actually, I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, let me slow myself down here. So Johnny and Jocelyn, has this downloaded for you now? Because I'm going to minimize it if you guys are done with it. Just let me know if it's completed the download yet. Okay, Jocelyn is completed. John and Ashley's waiting for it to start. Okay, not yet. Okay, I'll leave it up there for a few more minutes then. Okay, so before we start jumping into something else here, do you guys have any questions on anything so far? It doesn't matter if you've got a certain type of accounts, anything you want to ask me just over the next couple of minutes. I want to get everybody downloaded here, and then I can share my screen with you guys, and we can kind of go through the list of what I'm going to talk about tonight. Like I said, no questions are off limits. Like I said, you're gonna have a bunch of them. So anything you want to talk about, just fire it at me. So Daniel says, so Master Trader is the first priority, complete reading and watching among all the materials you have. Absolutely, and the reason that is, Daniel, is because we need to get you a foundation of understanding the market. So in the Master Trader, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to learn about the markets. You're going to learn about account types. You're going to learn a little bit of technical analysis. You're going to learn about orders, entries. You're going to learn about a few patterns. All of these things are kind of like a foundation. All right. And so once you have the Master Trader complete, you'll do the on-demand first, and then you'll do the live class. But once you have that kind of mastered, Master Trader obviously, but mastered, then we can start to teach you these other things that are on the gold key here. Like if I started to teach you vertical spreads right now, which is the first thing on this list on the left-hand side, if I started to teach you vertical spreads right now, A lot of folks would struggle with that because they don't have the basic building blocks for the markets themselves. Okay, and so what we want to do is we want to make sure you're fully equipped to go at the next level courses or your mentorship or wherever you guys decide to go next, whether you're controlling your own money through your own accounts, all that kind of stuff. We really got to build you a solid foundation. Once we do that, then we can teach you all the other stuff. So absolutely, Master Trader, number one priority in my professional opinion. Okay. All right. See some more folks typing. All right. Johnny's typing. Hopefully he's got it down. So John and Ashley, is yours still waiting to start? Okay. Let me. Okay. So Jocelyn, not finished. Okay. You've tried it twice. Okay. So you've got them all in blue, right, John and Ashley? They're all highlighted in blue. So if you just click on one and then you click Control A, it should highlight them all in dark blue. If you do that and then you click Download Files, which should be the button underneath, it should start for you. What should happen is, depending on what operating system you're using, you should see a little folder pop up at the bottom called, it should say Downloading. Okay, so yeah, went to a save file and it doesn't. Went to a save file and it doesn't. Okay. Okay, John and Ashley, I might have to get you to. I might have to send it to you by email or something. I might have to split it up for you then. I'm not sure why that's doing that for you. We may try it again next week anyway. Just again, I'm not the most computer savvy person in the world, so I'll help you out the best I can here. So. Okay, so Uzma says, just want to make sure the first file name is lesson 6, putting it all together. No, you should actually see at the top of this, it should say vertical spreads lesson 3 is what I have. There should be, let's count the files here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. There should be 19 files total, I think. 2, 4, 6, 18. Yeah, there's 19 files. Okay. So Johnny says, my download is only 90 megabytes into it, but you can switch windows and my download will continue. Okay. All right. So yeah, Uzma, you can't see anything like verticals. Okay. We might have to break it down. Okay, what I'll do is whatever you've gotten so far, we'll try this again next week. I'll talk to Sam this week and see if there's some way that I can make this easier. What might be happening too is there's a fair bit of stuff here, right? There's 20, so we get 60, 70 megabytes there. You got another 40 megabytes. You got a few hundred megabytes of stuff here. So it could take a while to download as well. I'm surprised you can't see that. Let me see. Let me see if I maximize it, if it does anything. Store. I'm gonna hide it and then bring it back up, Uzma. Maybe check and see if you can see it then. And hide it, and then I'll bring back the pod. Files number 2. Okay. Is that any better? I see that the list has changed here. It's changed order, but it's all still there. So it's the first one I see now is support seasonal considerations. Did you see that one, Uzma? You see that at number 4. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yours might be a different order than mine, but as long as you have 19 different files, then you should be good. You still have lesson 6. That's fine. Putting it all together. Do you have lesson 3 that says vertical spreads? Yes, okay. Yeah, so as long as you have 19 files there, you should have all of them. And like I said, I'll put this up again next week, and if you've missed any, we'll get it next week, okay? All right, cool. Jocelyn has all 19 files. Excellent, excellent. Okay, let's get started here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and I might drop out for a second. If I do, just hang tight. I'll be right back. Check, check. Okay, can you guys see my Word document here? Just let me know if you can see it. Okay, yes, 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 awesome. Okay, so this is what we're going to kind of go over some stuff tonight. Like I said, if you guys have questions about what I talk about, please just type them in and I'll answer them as we go. This is just kind of a little bit of stuff that I put together, things I wanted to talk about and make sure you guys are clear on, because this is going to help you guys out down the road here, okay? Talk about different type of accounts. What I'm going to do and ask you in a minute is I want to know what different accounts you guys have, because there'll be different challenges with each. We're going to talk about self-directing and active managed. We're going to talk about the different brokers. We're going to talk about the rules for registered accounts. There's certain things you can and cannot do, and there's certain things you can and cannot do with different brokers, which is very important as well. Okay. We're going to talk about, if I can get it to slide down here, we're going to talk about trading levels. One of the things that you're going to find when you guys go to open some accounts, if you're opening new accounts, is if you don't answer the broker's questions properly, then they're going to put you at a lower options level than maybe you want. And it's a bit of a pain in the butt. It's not impossible to get moved up for your options level trading, but it is a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the net worth. They're going to ask you, these are all kind of questions that they ask you to see where you're at, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. So trading experience, again, is another thing that we're going to talk about. All of these things, you can see that I put trading requirements down here. I'm going to talk about that as well, because again, I'm just trying to save you guys a bit of the heartache that I went through, because it's really it is what it is, but it's somewhat unnecessary as well. And I would like to see you guys kind of hit the ground running, as opposed to slugging through all the stuff I had to go through. So hopefully it can up your experience a little bit. So everybody cool with that? let's get started then. Okay, so the first thing is I'm going to ask you guys who has RSPs or TSFAs or margin accounts. Just write in if you got an RSP, TSFA, or margin or all. Just throw it down there. I just want to kind of get an idea of who I'm talking to, who's got what. So Jocelyn has a TSFA. TFSA. So Daniel and Cecilia, nothing yet. Okay, nothing wrong with that. So John and Ashley have both RSPs and TSFAs. Okay. RSPs and TFSAs. Okay, and Johnny has a TSFA as well. Okay. All right, and Uzma, do you have anything yet? You have a T. Okay, there you are, TSFA. Okay, everybody's got tax-free savings account. That's good. Okay. Now let me ask you another question. The TSFAs, where do you guys have them currently? Are they with a bank or are they with another broker, or what do you guys typically have? So TD for Jocelyn, okay. So Uzma says TD Bank as well, okay. See, everybody else is typing there. Okay, while you guys are typing, the reason I ask this, okay, so John actually has one with TD and Manulife segregated. Okay, seg funds. Okay, and Johnny's got iTrade. Okay, iTrade. All right, and so just converted. Okay, got your account converted to its regular savings. Okay, good. Let's put savings. Okay, so the reason I ask these questions is there's certain things that you have to do to let me get into the discussion between self-directing and managed here. So basically what I'm seeing so far is that a lot of the stuff that you guys have is what we call actively managed, okay? So in John and Ashley's case, they have Manulife segregated funds, so they have a financial advisor that's probably looking after that for them, I would assume. And then whatever you have in TSFA or in TD, that's fine. The reality is the difference between self-directing and actively managed is basically just the name of an account. Okay, when we say self-directing, all it means is that you're going to start taking care of your own money. Okay, and what it means is every bank, so TD, Scotiabank, they've all got self-directed accounts out there. Now, I'm not going to recommend any one place to go. I'm just going to tell you kind of the pitfalls with self-directed accounts and actively managed accounts. Okay, some of this stuff you'll probably already know, but I think it's worth talking about because there are some very big differences between what you're probably doing now and what you want to do later. Okay, what we teach you guys to do here is we teach you to take control. And that basically means self-directing. So if you walked into your bank tomorrow and said, I want a self-directed TSFA, they may or may not give you a hassle, but it would just be a different account than whatever you've opened up now. It may actually be, in some cases, it may actually be the same account. Okay, but typically if you have an active managed TSFA, it will be in mutual funds, or it will be in segregated funds, or it could be in a GIC, it could be in just a regular savings account. But again, like I said, when it comes to opening a self-directed account, it's literally just basically telling the bank or whoever you're with that you want a self-directed account, okay? I see some folks are typing, which is good. That's what I like. Okay. So John and Ashley, yours is through WebBroker. Okay, so John and Ashley, you've probably been trading already then, or investing at least. Is that correct? And Jocelyn, yours was in mutual funds. Took 3 days to roll over. Yeah, they have 3 business days legally to move your funds, so that makes sense. So John, I see a little, but can only do stocks. Okay, so this is probably something you've already run into, John and Ashley. Is they only let you do stocks because you haven't demonstrated to them that your knowledge is high enough to do options. Okay, and so what's going to happen for you is as you go through this training, as you get through Master Trader, and I don't know if you're doing options 1 or not, or if you go further, but once you get through that, you can call TD up and you can tell them, I want my level raised to options, say options level 2, for a TSFA, an RSP, or a LIRA. I don't know if any of you have LIRAs, which is just basically a locked-in retirement account. Basically, all of those registered accounts, even RESPs for any of you folks that have kids that you want to invest for as well, all of these registered accounts basically have the highest level of trading that you can get in those accounts is called an options level 2. Okay, and basically when you have a registered account, as you guys can probably see to the left here, and I highlight it here, fill it in yellow here. So basically in every registered account out there, you can basically sell long calls. So these are your option plays. And I know this won't mean that much right now, but it'll help you later. So you can buy and sell long calls. You can you can do long calls, which is buying calls. You can buy puts. You can sell calls, which is what a covered call is, and you can buy and sell stock. Okay. Now you won't be able to short stock. You won't be able to borrow stock in a registered account. Okay. These are government rules, less so than rules for the institution you're with. The reason the government put this in place is because a few little old ladies got into, into, let's say, bad products, and they lost a bunch of money, and then they sued, and all of a sudden the government went, well, no, that stuff's too aggressive or too dangerous for people, and so they put these rules in place. Okay, it's fine for your registered accounts. The reality is, in your registered accounts, you're only going to do a couple of things. By the time you guys are done Master Trader, and by the time you're done Options 1, you're gonna learn a couple of things that are really gonna help you out when it comes to your registered accounts. I have registered accounts too as a Canadian, and basically the only thing I do in those accounts is I sell covered calls and I put on protective puts, or what we call insurance, for my stocks. Okay. The reality is that is enough. Those two things, if you were to learn those two things very, very well, that's enough to make way better returns than you would ever get from an actively managed portfolio. Moreover, if you're sitting in Manulife, like the segregated funds, or if you're in mutual funds right now, and the market decides to crash tomorrow, there's no way to insure those products. Now, Manulife segregated fund already is insured to a certain degree. It's just the insurance is very expensive, right? But basically, once you have your own stocks and you have it self-directed, you can buy long puts. And basically what it means is you get to put a stock, and I know you guys saw a little bit of this on the weekend, but I'll kind of go through it a little bit more here. But basically you can put your stock to somebody at a specific price. So let me pull up a 3D paint here, and I'll kind of do a little diagram for you guys, and you guys let me know if this is of value to you. If there's something you want to learn, you want to know, or you have a question, please type it in, because I want to make sure you guys are getting value out of this. I'm just kind of trying to think of all the things that I had to go through to get what we needed to do. Okay, so let's go this way. We're going to do XYZ stock. XYZ stock, okay? Let's say we go and buy a stock and it's $50. All right. What we can do, there's a couple of things. The covered call. So basically, when we do a covered call, if we own the stock, if we own 100 shares of stock, we can sell a call above here. So let me put that in. So we could sell a call up here. So we're going to sell let me move that up a bit. So I could sell an XYZ call option, and we'll say we're going to sell the $55 call option. Now, again, I know this won't make a lot of sense to you right now, but as you get through your courses, it'll make a lot more sense for you. So, like I said, just kind of bear with me a little bit. I want to introduce you to these concepts because it'll help you down the road. Okay. All right. Let me get this so that you guys can usable. Okay, so what we do is we sell. Let's move this over here. Okay. Put this here. So we're going to sell. Sorry, this is huge. So we're going to sell. We're going to sell an XYZ call. And basically, we're going to take in $2 for that, for doing that trade. Okay. So I'll put here text. And we're going to get $2 in premium. $2 premium. So when we sell something, we got to get paid, right? And this is kind of what we're doing with covered calls, okay? So when we sell a covered call, oh, sorry. When we sell a covered call, they pay us for the right. So this basically means we're going to sell our XYZ stock for $55 for up to a certain length of time, and we're going to get a $2 premium, okay? Now, if with a covered call, there's only 3 things that can happen. Okay, the stock can go up to 55, and if it gets above, then they get to take our stock away, and they pay us $55 plus we get to keep the $2. Okay, the stock can go completely sideways, and if it does, then we still keep the $2 and we get to keep the stock. Okay, now the big question is, what happens if the stock falls? Okay, and this is where some folks get a little bit nervous when stocks start to fall on them. Okay, so let's say, for instance, XYZ stock falls to 45. Stock is now $45 a share. Okay, so in this particular case, if you look at it, we paid $50 for it. It's now down to 45. You know, on paper, we've lost $5, right? Well, what if we're concerned that XYZ is going to go a little bit further down? Well, what we can do is we can go out and buy a long put, okay? And again, I understand this is a bit much for you guys, but just kind of bear with me because it'll make sense soon. We can go and buy a long put, which is a contract, and our contract says we'll pay somebody the right to put our stock to them at a certain price. So in this particular case, we'll buy the long put at the $43 price, strike price, okay? And that's going to cost us, we'll say at $2 in premium to do that, okay? So now we're paying it out. All right. So, oh, geez, I keep doing that. Sorry. So basically, when we buy this long put, what this gives us the right to do is to sell our shares to somebody at $43. Okay, and we have to pay $2 for that. So it doesn't matter if XYZ goes down to 0, because we have this contract, this legally binding contract in place. We are protected below this amount. Okay, this is basically our insurance. Does everybody kind of understand what I'm talking about here? We're basically taking out insurance, and it's like buying insurance for your car. You know, if you've got a $50,000 car and you buy insurance on it, you know, you'll pay a deductible of, you know, $1,000 or whatever, but then they'll basically replace your car. That's exactly what we're doing here, okay? And so that's the bonus of being able to sell long puts in a registered account. So they do allow you, you know, like I said, with a mutual fund, you know, if the market crashes tomorrow, there is zero protection. It goes down with the old saying is all tides float all boats, and tide sinks all boats as well. So if the market crashes tomorrow, everybody who's got mutual funds is going to be in a world of hurt. Whereas when you self-direct your own accounts, you can buy these long puts and you can protect yourself from these downfalls. Okay, does everybody kind of get that? I know it's kind of a long-winded situation or long-winded explanation there, but good. Everybody seems to get it perfect. That's what I like to see. Okay, so these are the kind of things you can do in your registered accounts. Now, The difference between doing this, okay, so there's a few other things that you can or cannot do in certain accounts, okay? So I've written down different brokers here. I'll just tell you right off the bat, Interactive Brokers is my favorite, and it's my favorite for a few reasons. Number one, their commissions are the cheapest out there that I've ever found. They're considerably cheaper than pretty much anywhere I've ever found. But moreover, what they allow us to do, which is kind of nice, is these long puts. If you're in Questrade or you're in TD, Uzma says, just let me come back to that 1 second. If you're doing long puts on Questrade or any of the bank brokers like iTrade and whatnot, what they will not let you do, which is kind of is crappy to be honest with you, is let's say the market starts to fall and you want to buy insurance on it, but you don't happen to be in front of the computer, okay? A lot of the banks, Questrade as well, and a few of the other brokers, they will not let you leave an order sitting in there, so that if the stock market or your particular stock hits a certain price, they will not let you leave an order there to buy protection, okay? Some of them will, some of them won't. I know Interactive Brokers allows you to set a certain price, and if your stock falls below that price, it will automatically buy a put option for you. And you guys will learn that as you go along, especially if you're in my labs and whatnot. But you know, that's very valuable for most folks, because you know, if you're like me and you're watching the market all day every day, that's fine. But if you have a job or you have to do other things, it's a nice little level protection that you get from some brokers and not from others. Okay, so just kind of a heads up there on that. Okay, so Uzma asks, just a quick question. We do long puts on selling covered calls as our insurance. So no, I know that's a bit confusing. Covered calls are a way to generate income. Okay, so we if we have a stock, if we have XYZ stock, we're going to sell a covered call on it to make some income, and we're going to do that every month, about every 30 to 45 days. Okay, the time we want to put on the long puts is if we start to see our stock, or let's say we're concerned that it hits resistance and it's starting to fall, then we can put some insurance on it. But it's two separate trades. And what we call it when you have both the long put and the covered call, and it's called a collar trade, which you guys will learn as you go along there. But just know that we're always selling covered calls for income. This is the best thing you can do with your TSFAs and your RSPs, is you're selling for income. So what we're doing, so most folks when they get into the stock market, what happens is they think you can just buy and sell stocks. So if the stocks are going up, you make money. If the stocks are falling, you lose money. Okay. Well, what we do with covered calls is we kind of turn it on their head there, and we make money off of time. Okay. So when we sell a covered call, all we're doing is making a promise to somebody that we'll sell them our stock at a certain price for a certain length of time. So as much as you and I both know that tomorrow is going to turn into the next day, and the next day is going to turn into the next week, and the next week after that's going to turn into, you know, whatever. We know that time's going to pass. Well, covered calls are a nice little way to collect money over time. Okay, so the stock's still going to move, but what we're concerned with is the cash flow. Okay, hopefully that answers your question, Uzma. So basically, we do covered calls as income, and we do long puts for insurance. Okay. So John and Ashley asked, is it easy to move money from TD Waterhouse TSFA into Interactive Brokers? Great question. I was getting to that, but good question, John and Ashley. So basically what you need to do with whenever you want to move money anywhere, okay? So it doesn't matter if you don't move it to Interactive Brokers. If you want to move it to you know, any of the other brokers or any other bank, basically what you do is you get your account open at that other institution. So in this particular case, you'd get an account open at Interactive Brokers, and then there's an electronic form that's filled out. And basically, you don't have to go to your bank. You don't have to do anything with TD Waterhouse. You fill out this electronic form on the website, and then what happens is Interactive Brokers, or whoever that institution is that you're using, they actually electronically will go and get that money, and they'll move it over. It takes a little while, depends on the institution you're using, but it'll take a couple of weeks or whatever, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, and then it will automatically be moved over into your account. Now you can do two kinds of move. You can do a move in cash, or you can do a move in kind. Okay. Is there a minimum? No, not that I'm aware of. Now, there's a minimum to open an account um, with all of these places, but they're very how do I say this? They're very flexible. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. We're going to go on the Interactive Brokers website there, and I'm going to show you. They talk about a lot of minimums to open accounts. They'll tell you they want you to have 5,000 or 10,000 or all this. The reality is if you call them up, if you open up an account and you say, look, I only have $1,000 right now, but I'm expecting to get whatever in a short period of time, they're more than happy to open an account for you. Okay, the reality is they're there to make commission money, and even though they have these minimums that they talk about, the reality is they'll take any money they can get. Again, it sometimes takes a conversation on the phone, and other times you just open it and you do a deposit and you're good to go. Now, what there is minimums for, which I will talk a little bit about, is if you're doing a special type of trading, like if you're in Thinkorswim, like if you do decide to get a full account at Thinkorswim, you have to have $5,000 US in there to be able to do credit spreads. Now, none of you guys are ready for that, but at some point you might be. So just be aware of that. So there are minimums out there, but the reality is, like I said, to open an account, all brokers are very, very flexible. And if they're not flexible, then guess what? You don't want to be any part of them anyway. That's the cold hard reality of it. Okay. All right. So we talked about self-directing. So again, the RSPs, TSFAs, and LIRAs, those are all registered accounts. You're kind of, those are the rules for registered accounts. I've tried to work with all the brokers to see if I could do more than this, and they just don't play ball. The reality is I don't know whether they don't want the hassle from the government or whatever the reason is. Basically, these are the rules. But the good news is these 4 things that you can do is more than enough to do very, very well when you self-direct something. Okay, when you take control over your own money, you could do the same. I know. I think it's John and Ashley. You've got segregated funds, right? I think it was you guys. Yeah, John and Ashley. You guys got segregated funds. So if you ever looked at a prospectus, basically a prospectus is something that your financial advisor has to give you, and it basically tells you everything there is to know about your investment. Okay, it will tell you what stocks they're in. It will tell you all the fees. It will give you all these charts and graphs and all this other kind of stuff. It's most people don't even. A, they've never heard of a prospectus, and B, they've never even looked at it. But there's a whole bunch of information in there. Well, the problem is with a segregated fund, you're paying anywhere from probably 3 to 4%, to anywhere from 6 to 7% in commission, and management expense ratio fees to have them manage your money. Meanwhile, if you open up that prospectus, it would tell you exactly what they're invested in, and you could go self-manage that and go buy exactly the same stocks they do. And then instead of paying them 4 to 6% a year, it might cost you a few $100 in commission to buy those same things. But most people don't know that. But you guys will learn this as you move along. So I just kind of wanted to put that out to you. But okay, so let's keep moving here. So Interactive Brokers, like I said, I just want you guys to check it out. It may or may not be for you. I personally think it's the best one out there from a commission standpoint. Their platform isn't as nice as Thinkorswim, but it is usable, right? And myself being a Canadian mentor, I teach both Thinkorswim and I also teach Interactive Brokers. I teach both platforms so that folks can use them. They're not that hard. There's some good videos on both of them. If you need to watch those, you just go into the help tab on either website. So let's get to the trading levels here. So like I said, to do covered calls, so John and Ashley, you guys can only do stock right now. Once you get through Master Trader, you're going to have kind of an idea, you're going to have a better idea of the markets. And what I would suggest you do is call up Webbroker and ask them. Actually, you may even be able to go on, you may be able to do it online as well. Basically ask them to up your trading authority level. Okay. Basically, you want to get to trading authority level 2. That will allow you to do all those things that I just talked about. long calls, long puts, covered calls. My suggestion to each and every one of you is to learn the covered calls strategy very well. We will talk a little bit more about how to do it in the coming weeks on this webinar, because we're going to do 3 more of these webinars. So we'll definitely go through that. If that's something you guys want, is that something you guys want to see, like to actually how to do a covered call and kind of the parameters to it? Okay, all right. Because honestly, the covered call is one of the better trades. It's a trade that you can learn quickly, and it's a trade that you can use in your registered account. So, like I said, definitely in the next couple of weeks, we'll do a little bit on the covered call, and I'll kind of show you guys, what you should be looking for and kind of how to put it together. Okay, so let's talk about broker questions. Okay, so the broker questions are going to be. They're going to ask you about your trading experience. They're going to ask you about your net worth. They're going to ask you about what your goal is, whether you're doing it for trading profits, whether you're doing it for speculation, whether you're doing it for fixed income. They're going to ask you all sorts of these things, okay? And here's the reality. If you look down here, the trading requirements, okay, it says to qualify as an IB customer, you must meet these requirements, okay? It says you must have executed at least 100 trades for any product or 100 simulated trades in our real-time demo, okay? Now, the reality is, if in the case of Interactive Brokers, they say this is what you need to do, but the reality is if you answer these questions properly, you don't have to do any of this, okay? The reality is if you have enough net worth, if you have a good or extensive knowledge of stocks and options, if you have, what else do they ask for? Yeah, basically to trade options, futures, cash, forex, you must have a minimum of 2 years trading experience. So as long as you have that trading experience. Now, I know I said a little bit about this at the event last weekend. But what I want you guys to kind of understand, and again, I'm not telling you how to answer these questions. I'm just kind of giving you the pitfalls that go along with it, okay? The reality is what you're going to learn in Master Trader and Options 1, if you take it, you will be smarter after you're done those 2 courses than literally 90% of the people in Canada, okay? So when they say you have to have a minimum of 2 years trading experience, the reality is those courses are going to give you that a level of experience in a very short period of time, right? So in 3 or 4 months, I would suggest that if you did those 2 courses and you sat down side by side with someone who had 2 years trading experience, I'd be willing to bet that you would be as smart as those people, if not more so. Okay, and the reason being is, like I said, if you don't put in, if to trade any product, if you don't put that you have a good knowledge of it, then they're only going to let you trade stock, or they're only going to let you do these certain things. Now, they're doing it to protect you, but they're also doing it to protect themselves. Okay, so I'm not saying go out and trade something you have no idea of what you're talking about, but the reality is you're going to learn a few things through the courses, and especially through mentorship, where you're going to accelerate your learning in a very quick way. Okay, so again, like I said, it says important to qualify as an IB requirement. You must meet these requirements. This isn't 100% correct or complete, I should say. It's correct, but it's not complete. You can basically go right now onto the Interactive Brokers website, and you can just go to, let me pull up, let's go to it right now. So Interactive Brokers. And again, I'm not advocating any one place. I'm telling you what I've experienced, and you guys can go and look at this, right? You can look at the pricing. You can look at they'll even tell you why you should go with Interactive Brokers other than somebody else, right? There's a lot of good information on here, all that kind of stuff. But basically, when you go to open an account here, you can open an individual trader. That's a margin account. You can open once you get into this, you can go into registered and non-registered, right? You can go individual joint accounts. You can start an application. Basically, it'll tell you down here what you can do. It's really, wow, sorry about that. It's really quite comprehensive. the best execution. They tell you all the best reasons they have it. One of the things that I get asked a lot about with these brokers. So these guys aren't banks, okay? They're not like TD. They're not like Scotia. All they do is trade, okay? So all they do is they're just a broker for traders and investors, okay? That means a lot in the fact that that's all they concentrate. Whereas the bank, sure, they have a trading division, but they also have a banking division and a mortgage division and all that. So, if you go into a bank, after you've taken your master trader, if you go into TD Bank or Scotia Bank and you sit with somebody in that bank, the likelihood of them knowing what you're talking about, even after just taking one course, is going to be very low. And I know because I've personally done that. Okay, and so what that means is you're going to kind of have to move this along for yourself and make some decisions that they're not going to be able to help you with at traditional banks. Back to Interactive Brokers. One of the things people always ask about is does everybody know what CDIC is? Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation. Do you guys know what that is? John and Ashley, no. Johnny, no. Okay. Anybody? Okay. So the Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation, basically, if you have money in a bank and the bank goes belly up, it goes broke, the CDIC is a private company, essentially, that puts insurance on banks, okay? So what it does is it insures your savings up to a certain amount. I think it's $100,000 per account, I believe, in a bank. Okay, so if a bank gets robbed, that means you guys won't lose any money. Okay, that's the Canadian Deposit Insurance Corporation. Basically, every trading brokerage out there, Interactive Brokers included, has the same thing. It's called something different. I think it might be the FDIC, or I forget what the name of it is now. But all of these accounts are insured against something happens. Oh God, what am I saying? Let's say fraud happens. Okay, so somebody breaks into your account and takes all the money. You are covered up to a certain amount by IB, and you guys can Google that. I'm not sure. I know it says here somewhere. I can't remember what it is, but if you just Google insured, it'll pop up in here, right? So it's one of the things that's very important when you're looking at a broker. You want to make sure that you're covered in the event of some disaster. Right? Now, they're not going to cover your losses. If you make a bad trade and you lose money, that's on you. But if there's something nefarious that goes on, or, let's say Interactive Brokers goes belly up, which I can imagine that it would, but if it did, they're insured as well. Okay, so it's a level of safety that most people don't realize. Okay. So again, like I said, it's pretty easy to open an account. You can go and do a free trial if you want as well. All of this kind of stuff. There's going to be some minimums in there. I think maybe what we'll do next week is, because I know we're getting low on time for this week. What I'll do next week is I'll open a fictitious account. If you guys think this will be beneficial to you, what I'll do is I'll go through the steps of actually opening an account. And then we'll talk about the questions as we go through, because I think there's some value to it there. Again, I'm not telling you what to do, and I hope you guys fully understand this. I'm just giving you I'm giving you what I wish I had when I started, okay? Because it just makes it open. Yes, you can. Yep, Johnny, for sure you can. You can open a TSFA, you can open an RSP, you can open a spousal RSP, you can open a margin account. You cannot open a LIRA. Like I said, I don't know if any of you have those. But yeah, TSFA, RSP, and a margin account. The one thing that I would recommend as well, if you open if you open a TSFA, if you just have a TSFA right now, but you plan on having an RSP in the future, or if you plan on having a margin account, which I would definitely recommend in the future, if you're going to do one, you should probably open all of them, because you're going to have to do the same things for each of them. You're going to have to upload your driver's license and a bunch of other stuff. We'll go through like I said, we'll go through the application next week, and you guys will see what I'm talking about. We'll go step by step, because I think there's a lot of value there. But yeah, absolutely, you can open a TSFA. And like I said, to transfer money over, basically once you have your TSFA opened, then you can actually, like I said, it's all electronic. You go into account management. There's, I think it's called an ACH. transfer. It'll say either in cash or in kind transfer, and then they'll do all the work for you. Okay, so they'll move your TSFA over. They'll do all that for you. Okay. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So your trading experience, like I said, you're getting a lot of trading experience in a short period of time. I'll show you that next week when we go through the actual account. Again, your net worth. Here it says, where is it here? To qualify for portfolio margin, again, this won't matter to you, but it has to be greater than 100,000 USD. So basically, does everybody here know what margin means? What it actually does, or how it works? If you guys already know, I won't go through it, but if you don't, then I'll kind of talk a little bit about it. Okay, so Dan says no. You can borrow stock. Yeah, that's not the only thing. Okay, yeah, so when you have a margin account, so basically what happens when you have a margin account is you put up some money, and then the broker also puts up money as well. Okay, so if you put $10,000 into a margin account, you can actually trade with $20,000. So you could buy $20,000 worth of stock, and the broker kind of puts up the other 10,000. Now he charges you a very, very, very tiny interest rate on that. It's so tiny you barely even see it, but it's a way for them to make money. Now what it allows us to do is it allows us, when we have margin accounts, to do different types of trades that don't require as much cash. And what it means to us is it means that we can put out less money to make more. And you guys remember all weekend when Sam was saying that smart traders do more with less? So basically, if I put 10,000 in and my broker puts 10,000 in, and I do a trade, well, all of a sudden I've only got 10,000 working, but I'm actually working with double the money. And so any trades I make that win, I'm actually getting kind of a 2-for-1 upswing on my my risk reward, or my profit, if you will. Okay, so like I said, margin accounts, they're 2-to-1 typically. Some brokers will be 4-to-1 margin. During the day they'll be 4-to-1, and overnight it's typically 2-to-1. So it allows you to do what's called something called a naked put. You guys will learn this as you go along as well. But a naked put, you basically get to pick a price level, and you say, I'm willing to buy that stock at that price level, and someone will pay you to do it. It's a way to get cheaper stock, which you guys will also learn as you go along. But to do a naked put, you absolutely have to have a margin account. The same way with borrowing stock, as John and Ashley said. To borrow stock, you have to have a margin account, because they have to be able to cover off, if you borrow stock and it goes against you, they have to be able to cover off those losses. Okay. So now, having said that, with margin, the broker will never ever let you get in trouble. Okay. What they'll do is, if you've borrowed some and you're in a position that's going against you, they will automatically close that position or give you a margin call if you're getting to the point where you're running out of your own money. Okay, so they allow you to work with theirs a little bit, but they have some rules to it as well. So it keeps you out of harm's way. Okay. But like I said, back to opening accounts. If you're going to open a TSFA, I would recommend you open an RSP and a margin account as well, just to get it all done at once, because each one of those different accounts has special properties to it, has advantages and disadvantages. Okay, and the disadvantages of registered accounts like TSFAs and RSPs is we can only do these things here: the long calls, puts, covered calls, and stock. Well, as you go further along, you're going to find that covered calls are great, but credit spreads are even better than covered calls. Now, they're a more advanced strategy, and you have to have a margin account for it. So, like I said, it kind of just saves you a little bit of time. Okay, so everybody kind of understand what margin is? It's just the ability to kind of borrow from the broker. Okay. All right, so we're getting to 8 o'clock here. Any questions you guys have? Like I said, next week when we get together, bring questions if you have them. Again, if not, I'm going to put my email address up. I'll do that right now. Actually, I think you guys all have my email address, don't you? Let's just put it up here anyway. Discussion notes. No, it's not there. Okay. Now I got to remember my own. It's Gregory Holmes. at ic.elitelegacy.education.com. Okay, so Daniel, shall we open our account in this week? Why don't you guys hold off opening any accounts until next week? Because I'd like to show you the rest of it. You know what I mean? I think you get more value if you kind of saw me to go through it. That's what we'll do starting as soon as we start next week. We'll go through it. Right now, the only thing I would ask you, Daniel and Cecilia, did you guys open your practice account for Thinkorswim? Remember, I gave you guys that kind of homework the first day there. Was everybody able to do that? Open a Thinkorswim account? So yes for Johnny. Yes, yes. Okay, good. Okay, so for now, all I want you to do is just hang tight with the Thinkorswim. So Justin, I opened an account, but I have not had time to play with it. That's okay. As long as you got it open, that's good. John, yes, still learning it. Okay, that's cool. That's cool because what you're going to see is all the instructors use Thinkorswim. Okay, myself included. Anyway, so I would just hold off on the IB until next week when you see me go through the actual process because it might help you with a few steps. Okay. All right. Any last questions before we go for tonight? Did you guys get something out of this? Hopefully you guys got some value out of this. You know, I want to make this as interactive as possible. I want to make sure that you guys are kind of moving on. You know, you're staying motivated. I want to be able to just make sure you guys are doing well. So, okay, so next Thursday night, 7 o'clock, same time, same bat channel. And like I said, if you have questions, you can send them to me by email or write them down, and we'll answer all of them next week. Like I said, next week we'll actually go through opening kind of a mock account in Interactive Brokers, and we'll talk about a few other things. Maybe if we have time, we'll get started on the covered call. I'll show you guys how to do them in Thinkorswim, and then you guys can practice them. How's that? Since you guys all have your Thinkorswim open, then you'll be able to practice actually doing them, and that's the best way to start. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out, and we'll talk to you next Thursday night. Have a great Easter weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you real soon.